everybody, and welcome to the Macaw Podcast Universe, the podcast that exists to prove people wrong when they say that sequels are never better than the originals. And we are currently in the middle of the Ip Man franchise, and last week we kicked it off with Ilram Choi, and this week we have another insane guest. When I got the email, I was like, this is kind of unbelievable. We have, you may know her from Lady Bloodfight, Accident Man, Female Fight Squad. She has, I think, a coffee table stunt man book. This is Amy Johnston.
Hi. Thanks for the awesome intro. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, we are so excited to have you on. We would love it if you could give us as much as you want to give us, like a little background in who you are and what you do and all of that.
Okay. So I am a lifelong martial artist. I grew up doing martial arts. My father was like a martial arts instructor and kickboxing champion. So I grew up in that world, watched a lot of action films, and I always wanted to be in them. I looked up to people like Jackie Chan and Jet Li, as we all do, I'm sure.
Cool.
But I definitely saw that there was kind of a missing part in women. There weren't as many women as I'd like to see. And so when I saw Michelle Yeoh in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. And so I came to Hollywood, started it wasn't a quick start by any means. It took me a long time to get into the industry. Started with stunts, but online YouTube fight videos before that. That started getting me work as stunts. And then I got into more acting. And now I try to dip my hands in as many things as possible. But that's the short version of what I do, at least.
Cool.
That is way cool.
Yeah.
I was introduced to you because I am a big fan of the Stuntman React videos on Corridor Crew.
Oh yeah, those guys are awesome. That's such a good video series they're doing, because we all miss like behind the scenes Blu-ray, extras where we get to see what's going on behind the scenes. And so I think this really fills that void nicely.
Yeah, that's kind of like we chose the series one. It's in Chinese. Like, we've done pretty much American and British movies. So it's like, it's time to do something different. And then also we've done Marvel. So it's like, there's action there, but not a lot, no martial arts kinds of stunts. So that's another reason why we really wanted to do this.
I mean, there is a little martial arts, and you would know a little bit about Marvel and martial arts, I'm assuming. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes, you are correct.
Because for the listener, you were the main stunt double for Black Widow in Winter Soldier.
I was, there were two doubles, me and Heidi. Okay. Yeah, so we had two units, so two doubles, me and Heidi Moneymaker. So, but I did double her, definitely. That was a really, really fun job.
That is cool too, because that is kind of we actually, when we covered that, we were a little lukewarm on the movie after having seen it a couple times. Although it is a great movie, I'm definitely not knocking it. But that does kind of mark like a change in how the fighting was done in the series.
Yes,
and
definitely.
So it's cool that you were a part of that.
Yeah, I think and that's like attributed to the directors. They really allowed the stunt team to just do what we do best. And then they took our previses that we shot for them, which is just, us shooting the action and editing it how we think it should be done. Usually they never use it, but they pretty much used our shot for shot previses and just really allowed us to do whatever we wanted. And so we got to play with a lot of hand-to-hand combat. So I think that's definitely because of the wonderful direction from the Russo brothers.
Dang, awesome.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I just remember when I first saw it, it was very drastic from what I was used to. Because I'm also, we've been discovering, Jordan and I, that we actually are not super well versed in martial arts movies.
Yeah.
And I'm after watching these two, and I've been slowly watching a couple of Jackie Chan movies, I'm like, man, I need to make this more of a priority in my film loving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh. I will give you guys a giant list.
Oh, that would be awesome.
We would love it.
Okay. It would be like a Christmas present gift list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's dive right into the production. as far as people involved in this movie, it is similar to the first Ip Man movie. So it's directed by Wilson Yip and written by Edmund Wong and, oh my goodness, my note cut off. I didn't have both of them written down. And Chan Tai Lee. Those were the two writers. Music, again, by Kenji Kawai, who, just like the first movie, destroyed it on the music.
Yeah.
I love the music in these movies.
Me too.
Cinematography is Poon Heng Sang, who's done a bunch of Jackie Chan movies and a lot of martial arts movies.
Cool.
Again, not super well versed, so I didn't recognize a lot of them. I just saw Sweet Jackie Chan and I thought, cool. The movie comes out. Oh my gosh, I really messed up on the notes. I'm definitely editing my podcast here on this because I accidentally wrote that it came out in 2020, which is clearly
came out in 2010. You told me last night. Is that true?
2011.
Like 2011. Okay, you're just like 9 years off. It's fine.
Not too bad.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, so I have. Okay, let me just double check though. So in China, it comes out April 29th, 2010.
Okay.
So I was going by the Chinese release date. Comes out in the U.S. in 2011.
Okay.
Gotcha.
It has a $12.9 million budget. Domestically, in the U.S., makes $205,000.
In the U.S.?
Yes.
Okay.
Which I think for a movie that the first one didn't even come out in the U.S., that's like fairly decent.
Yeah.
Right.
And worldwide, it makes $49.7 million.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. It's just interesting that it didn't make that much in the U.S., but I guess that makes sense. I'm wondering if Ip Man 3 made more because we had Mike Tyson in it in America. Maybe watched it, but I thought it would make more in the U.S. That was interesting.
Yeah, well, I just wonder if sometimes that comes down to subtitles. Like, that's just a lame excuse people have.
Unfortunately, I think there is that.
It's like, oh, I'm unwilling to make that leap, which I think it's changed a little bit as years go by.
Although I will say I didn't even know about this series till like 2012. Not that I was plugged into the Chinese film industry.
Yeah.
But I think, because to answer your question, Amy, I actually did the research on Ip Man 3 in advance, and that one makes $2.6 million in the US.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like it got its legs a little bit more. People know about it. And then, as you said, Mike Tyson. Which
that helped.
I've not seen that movie, and I am very interested as to how that goes down.
It's pretty good. It's
okay.
Yeah. It's pretty good. It's worth a watch, I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, either way, the thing we were talking about last night, Jordan and I, as we were watching it, because we had both never seen this one. I'd seen Ip Man 1, but I'd never seen the second one. And we talked about how, like, one of the advantages of great, like, choreographed martial arts movies is even if the story kind of lacks in some spots, it's not like a movie where the story lacks and then you get to a bad choreographed action scene and you're just bored.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for me, not to spoil everything I'm going to say, but I felt like the movie kind of dropped off story-wise when the boxer gets introduced, but you're still seeing these phenomenal fight scenes. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm entertained though.
But I think that the story is still simple enough that you're not like, oh my gosh, this sucks. Like when it comes to the story part, close. It's still just like pretty simple. The message is very clear, I would say.
Yeah, I think so too. And I find it really hard with action films, especially martial arts films, to have like a good balance of story and fighting, because the audience either, most of the audience that watches a martial arts film wants to watch action. But if you can make the audience care a little bit more about the characters, it'll work better. But sometimes people go too far in trying to get like a very complex story, and then you don't even get the martial arts action, and it doesn't work on either side. So it's kind of a really tricky balance, I find.
Yeah, reminds me, that's kind of how we watched The Foreigner with Jackie Chan not that long ago. And that's how I kind of felt with that movie, is the story was very confusing. Yeah. And when there was action, I just felt like there wasn't enough.
Yeah, it was like, oh, come on. He's Chan. Like, let him go crazy. Like, these scenes should be like twice as long.
Yeah, but there was so much exposition that it was a little like, why does he care about this stuff again? And why is he fighting? Yeah, that definitely happens.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that movie yet. I watched some of his fights in it, but I don't know. Is it worth watching?
We were like, before we saw it, we were told by countless people that it was really amazing. So maybe our expectations were too high going into it.
Yeah.
Because I just felt like there wasn't enough of Jackie Chan. And then I don't know, like
there's a little too much Pierce Brosnan, not enough Jackie Chan.
That's how I would describe it. But the action that was in there was really good.
Yes,
for how little there was. In my opinion.
Oh man, I wonder if Jackie's just finally tired and he's like, no, you can cut this scene. You know, like is he finally tired? He's broken all of his bones. Jeez.
He looks tired in this movie, but that's mostly the character. But maybe it's not.
Yeah, we don't know.
Okay, so back into some of the fun little trivia about the movie. So this movie originally was intended to focus solely on the relationship between Bruce Lee and Ip Man as Ip Man is training him. But the Bruce Lee estate was like, no way, not going to happen. We're not going to let you do it. And so I guess they were able to sneak by with like a cameo that sort of felt like a like post-credit scene in Marvel or something.
Yeah, at the very end.
And they did like a huge casting call for Bruce Lee, the kid to play him.
For the kid, okay.
Like, I guess, and maybe Amy, you can speak to this, but I knew that Bruce Lee was a big deal, but in researching these movies, I guess I'm finding out that like he's kind of like the national treasure, like the guy for China, it seems like, because it seems every time he's brought up in these movies, it's a huge, like, kind of controversy about whether they're going to do it, if they're allowed to. And I remember when Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out, people were like,
there's a lot of
pretty mad that Brad Pitt beat him.
Yeah.
I know. And how he was portrayed, because he was portrayed as kind of like a cocky fighter, you know? It's always been a sensitive issue because there's so many Bruce Lee fans. And I love Bruce Lee. He was a huge impact in my life, but he was more of an actor and like a philosopher to me. He wasn't, like the best fighter in the world. So there's a lot of arguments on that, but he's great. Like without him, we probably wouldn't have a lot of the action that we do.
Yeah.
Right. Because he kind of is like the rise of martial arts in the martial art movies in the common like mind. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. 100%. Okay. 100%.
So they do this huge casting call. They cast that kid. The director stated that this movie was much better in terms of character and story before it came out.
Okay.
I wouldn't agree with him on that.
Compared to the last one, obviously? Yeah. Okay.
Because the last one is pretty pitch perfect.
Yeah,
you know?
I think so too.
And this is awesome. So to me, this just like exemplifies the spirit of the movies themselves. Because reporters were invited to the set when Donnie Yen and Sammo Hung fought.
Whoa.
So that they could like witness this historic event even though it's filmed, but it's like them fighting. And there's all these reporters there watching.
That's
fascinating. I love it. They're like, come on this day and we'll show you.
Yeah.
We'll show you a special. Fight. Yeah.
And then my last note before we get to actors is that Donnie Yen, after this movie, was like, all right, I'm good. There's a lot of other Ip Man movies besides our two Ip Man movies, and I don't want to portray him anymore.
Oh.
So I'll leave that lingering in the air because there are two more Ip Man movies starring Donnie Yen.
Interesting.
Yeah. The plight of the actor.
Yeah. I mean, money's always good. And, if you don't have other jobs, it's probably easy to go back to do something you've like done a bunch of times, and especially with people like Mike Tyson coming into the third one, he was like, all right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could have been a bargaining chip that he was like, I'm out. He just pay me more. Yeah.
Yeah. For just like testing them. Like, what are they going to do if I say that? Yeah,
just
totally.
But I'm glad he did. did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it would be like without him.
Oh, yeah. People would riot.
Yeah.
I am interested to watch the Grandmaster though, and see that portrayal of Ip Man.
I have an interesting note on that I discovered. So that's the spinoff?
Well, it's not so there's a spinoff, which is Master Z.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of.
Which is one we're going to cover.
What's the Legend is Born one?
That's the one we're going to cover in 2 weeks.
Okay, so the person who plays Ip Man is in this movie. He is
what?
So Sammo Hung. Not him, but like, so he's like a master, one of the masters. So his like star pupil plays Ip Man and The Legend is Born Ip Man.
Oh,
according to IMDb, yeah.
Oh, okay. That is not the one we're going to cover.
Oh, sorry.
So that is a part of a different series. That's really interesting.
Yeah. What was that movie called again that you said?
So The Legend is Born, which I think
The Legend is Born.
It's the origin story of.
Yeah, it's very weird for our audience. If in case you don't know, I actually had a small panic attack because we had you booked and Ilram Choi booked, and I am very obsessive compulsive about how we cover our series and making sure it's release date and all that stuff. And I was looking at it, and then I see that there's like 8 or 9 or 10 movies, and I'm like, oh, this is different than what I thought. I thought we had the 4 Ip Man movies and 1 spinoff. And then I see there's a TV show, and there's the Grandmaster, and then there's The Legend of Ip Man is Born. But then I found out that there's like 2 or 3 different series, and then there's a TV show in addition to that.
Oh, okay.
Are you guys going to cover all of that?
We're just going to cover this like quantifiable series.
Okay, cool. Good call.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Maybe that'll be some good Patreon content at some point.
Yeah, there you go.
I almost had a heart attack myself. That would have been a lot.
Well, we got to hit our Halloween scary series.
I know.
So it would have thrown everything off. Yeah, we'll tell you afterward because we can't tell it for the podcast.
Yeah, of course, secrets.
So the guy who does play Ip Man in the Legend is Born movie, so that's Yao Hang To, which is character name K, or that was part of his name. I thought it was interesting on his IMDb, like in his bio was like being known for looking a lot like Donnie Yen. And I'm looking at his picture and I'm like, I don't see it. But okay, like good for him to get another job, like in the series and stuff. He was very good. So like, okay.
And you're saying that was one of Sammo's students in the film?
Yeah, it's like his like star pupil win. So like Ip Man has his star pupil, that guy that keeps getting in fights. Like the first fight that he gets in with the other gang, like the leader of that gang.
Wait, the guy with like the goatee?
Yeah, and the beanie.
He doesn't look like Donnie Yen.
He doesn't look like him at all.
No, he doesn't. But whatever. I guess it's good enough.
Yeah, take it. Absolutely.
I'm going to start telling people that I look like Brad Pitt and see if I can start getting hired or something.
Why not?
Try it. I don't know what you look like, so I'm just going to assume that you look like Brad Pitt now.
Just know it's good enough.
I'm glad my wife just said that you look good enough. That's going to make me feel good.
Well, we're talking about Brad Pitt, Micah.
We got to be real here. That was a sweet thing for her to say, actually. Good enough is a good thing. That's better than you could have. There's a lot of other things you could have got. Good enough is good.
Yeah, and we've talked about, Micah, your celebrity lookalike is Tom Hardy.
Yeah, and I will take that. I will take that. Yeah.
You can't dispute that. Okay, but getting back into actors, I didn't do a ton. I kind of hit highlights. And also, Amy, just so you know, when we cover actors who were like in the previous movie, we're not like covering them again. So like I'm not going over Donnie Yen again.
Okay.
But we have, I think I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly, but Zhao Ming Hung, who plays Wang Shun Liang, which is Ip Man's star pupil. He is also in The Message, Escape Plan 2 Hades, which has Dave Bautista and Sylvester Stallone in it. It looked really nuts.
It's got Dave Bautista. It's got to be at least somewhat good.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were some explosions on the cover, so it looked insane. He's also in Mission to Milano, which looked like a fun spy thriller. And then just like overall, a ton of action and a ton of fantasy.
Good for him.
Yeah. And then Samuel Combo Hung, who is Master Hung.
Yes.
He is also in a lot of action and fantasy as well, in movies like, this isn't fantasy, but My Beloved Bodyguard, which sounds like such an endearing movie. It's about, he's a retired bodyguard and he has dementia and he befriends this little girl, and she, because her dad's caught up in crime, like gets kidnapped, and he has to like find her, like rescue her.
Oh, that sounds cool.
And he looks like pretty old in it.
Uh-huh.
I bet that's a good movie.
That sounds awesome.
Sounds good.
That does sound pretty good.
Yeah. And then he's also in Once Upon a Time in Shanghai, The Last Tycoon, and 14 Blades, among many other movies. And
he did do the choreography in this movie as well.
Yes.
We can't not.
And a lot. Yeah. Just focus on the acting. And then Darren Shalavi, who plays Twister, the boxer.
Oh, yeah.
He's in I Spy, Repo Men, the Watchmen movie, as an extra, I believe. Also,
Very cool.
He's in Tomorrowland. I think also an extra. Didn't really have like a name or anything. And then he's just in a ton of TV stuff. And then the other, the British guy that was kind of running everything, I did look him up, and he doesn't have very much.
Okay.
Which is funny because I thought I recognized him. But maybe I've seen part of this movie. And that's where I recognize him from.
He made me laugh so much.
He was fun. It was so, I don't know if we talk about it now, but I agree. He made me laugh a lot too.
Yeah.
And it's like, we talk about this so much on the podcast that like, a lot of an actor's performance really does come down to a director and the writing. And I could totally be wrong, but I feel like his performance is kind of, it feels like someone who does not speak English is directing him.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's just like so cartoony and over the top. And but maybe since I don't speak I think they speak Cantonese in these.
Yeah.
Maybe they're being really over the top too. But it doesn't feel like that to me because I don't know the language.
Yeah, I mean, even his body was like, everything that he did was just too much. I mean, that definitely, I agree with you. It's definitely the director's job to kind of like tame that down, but maybe that's what he wanted. It was,
ham it up.
Yeah, it was super cheesy to me.
When he was in the cell and he's beating up the reporter, I'm not supposed to do this, but I just started laughing because he's this very like lanky man. And I in no way want to go into a body shaming thing, of course.
Well,
it's cool that he's tall.
Looks kind of cartoony,
but
is what you're saying.
Yeah, and like the way
Yeah.
the way he's moving, I'm just like, I'm supposed to think that this is scary?
Right. Yeah.
I think that kind of goes into also, I don't think we brought it up in the last movie, but this movie and the last movie, like the overdub is like really intense.
It's so funny.
Both movies. And watching it, I'm like, I forgot that this movie came out in 2010/11. So I just was like, oh, it's just a product of its time. That's what they did. And then you reminded me when this movie came out. And I was like, oh, maybe this is just a thing then.
Yeah, is that like a styling choice or something? Because I think of spaghetti westerns, like the old spaghetti westerns, they like overdub everything.
Yeah.
Right.
But why do they do that?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's cheap. I mean, because there's definitely films that make fun of that, like Kung Pao, Kung Fu Hustle, and all those amazing films. But I think they just didn't care so much for 2 because they knew that like America didn't care for it too much anyway.
I don't know. That's a really good point.
It's so funny to watch though. I rewatched some of it last night just to like remind myself of things, and it is pretty hysterical.
I will definitely say the British actor like overdub is definitely much worse. Than the Chinese actors.
Yeah, because the Chinese, like, I don't notice except for certain lines like close-ups and stuff.
Yeah.
But the British stuff, and again, that probably goes to like I know English. So I can hear that minutia of like, that's not right. What?
Well, a lot of it's like, this doesn't sound like this person's in the same room.
Well, right. Yeah, that's a part of it.
As the actor, that's most of it.
They're like in a vocal booth behind a big wall.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. Yeah. It's quite funny to watch that recently, but still enjoyable.
Yes, definitely.
Oh yeah, I think the movie still hits pretty hard. And so Amy, could you tell us your experience with both this movie and maybe what you've seen of the Ip Man series as a whole and what you think about it?
So Ip Man 1 is definitely my favorite. It's had the best fight scenes, like most understood story, simple to the point. Really love that film. Ip Man 2 is good. I watched it I ended up watching it in like 2015, right before 3 came out, because I was going to a premiere of Ip Man 3 and I was so excited, and I was like, oh wait, I haven't even seen 2. I'm a disgrace. And so I quickly watched it. Yeah, so I had watched 2 in like 2014, 15, and then 3, and that's all that I've watched, but 3 is enjoyable as well. I think I like 3 better than 2.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, just because it was a little more Americanized and a little bit different, had some new faces in it. But like, I love the series. I think it's so fun, and I love the camera work with the like exaggerated Wing Chun fight scenes. Like, they're just always a blast to watch. So I hold Ip Man, the first one, close to my heart, and I always recommend that to people.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty easy jumping off point for someone who may be unfamiliar to like Chinese and just martial arts in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good kind of like starter kit before you get into, Yeah, it's definitely a good one to start with.
Yeah. And so let's get into the movie, but before we do, I actually had put down in my notes and I'd forgotten. I wanted to ask you, Amy, I was looking through your credits, and last night I finished playing this little old video game called Jedi. Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting what it's called. Star Wars Fallen Order.
Yeah.
And I see on there it says Amy Johnston, stunt motion capture.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And I saw that you have a ton of video game credits. And I know you talked about it in the Corridor Crew, but I would love it if you could shed some light on that a little bit, because that's so cool.
Well, first of all, did you like the game?
Oh, yeah, the game was great. It was so fun.
Yeah, super fun. I love working in video games because people are always really, really cool. So basically what I do for a lot of games is I go and do movement, or like I'll do little lines here and there, but I basically portray different characters in video games when they need somebody with my skill set. So a lot of martial arts. For Star Wars Fallen Order, I did a lot of lightsaber stuff. But basically I get into a mocap suit in a stage with a bunch of little balls on me. And they record my movement. And it's like the funnest world to be in because everything is just imagined. You don't have like the set design or the people that you're working with. It's like all in your head. So it's a big giant playground all day, and it's a total blast. I would say motion capture is like the majority of my, well, not right now, but in the past few years, that's been the majority of my work. It's been nonstop and super fun.
Yeah, that sounds cool. It sounds cool too, like that. What you really like about it is how imagined it is, and how you do kind of have to imagine everything that is around you.
Oh yeah,
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, it's super fun. Like I'll come home and tell my guy what I did during the day, and he's just like, "What? You did all of that?" And I'm like, "Yes, I fought a tiger, and then I fell off the cliff, and then I was a little kid and I was throwing snowballs." And he's just like, "It's so fun and all over the place, and just a blast."
Man, that's cool.
So, and one more little thing, because this is just way too cool. When I'm playing the game, are you contributing to like the cutscenes or like the actual gameplay, or both?
Usually it's both. For Star Wars Fallen Order, sorry. I mainly did the cutscenes, and then there's definitely a lot of game mechanics that I did and certain movements. Typically for games that I work on nonstop, like I'm doing all of the body mechanics, they just have the voice actors do the voice. So like a lot of people don't know, but the mocap actors are literally like picking up things in the scene or doing the scene without the voice, just to the voice. Like a lot of times we'll have the voices on a loudspeaker as we're doing the scene, and we just act out the scene. Like we're walking, we're doing all the mechanics. Mocap actors pretty much embody the character, and with different studios, they'll bring in the voice actor for certain scenes, but most of the time mocap actors are really, really the body that you're seeing all the time throughout the game.
That is crazy cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for shedding some light on that. And
oh my gosh, yeah.
I must say, if you were any of the boss battles, you were pretty tough to beat, and I had to switch it to easy mode quite a few times.
That's awesome.
But okay, so let's get into Ip Man 2, which is called it's Ip Man 2: Legend of the Grandmaster. I forgot there's a little extra part of the title. Yeah. So the movie begins with, it shows some clips from the first movie, kind of refreshing you, a la an old Rocky movie might do. And we see him again on the Wing Chun dummy. Yeah. Which reminds me that the actor that becomes his pupil was not a martial arts guy. And he like got a dummy and like went home and
like
he'd practice every night.
Did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Oh, he did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then basically because as we left off the last movie, he had moved to Hong Kong, fleeing from the area where the Japanese were kind of overruling the Chinese.
Yeah, they invaded. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now he's trying to open a school and he's getting no students. And you can see, again, kind of like the last movie, him and his wife, I think, is they're both a little more understanding of each other this time. Yep. But, of course, she's like, you should probably figure this out. And he's like, I'm very nice and quiet. And you're like, come on, you better get some students, bud.
Yeah, but it is interesting, like starting from scratch when he had everything pretty much at the beginning of the last movie because of his notoriety and all that. And
then we have that first student comes in and he's like, you're a new guy, let's fight. Yeah. And this is, I mean, I am not I wish I had some of this like martial arts background or something, but I like the idea. I just love it in these movies where it's like, we need to have a fight. Yeah. And it's not like an emotional thing. It's like, it's time to fight. That's what we do.
This is what we do. Now it's time. You versus me. I like it. It's very, I don't know. It's almost anime. It's just very simple. Yeah. Like the battlegrounds of people. Just, it's time to fight. We don't need an explanation. Let's do this. I love it.
And that's why we're here. So we're glad that they're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, Ip Man hands it to him very easily.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And then the guy's like, I'm not going to pay you, even though I said I would. See ya. And he comes back with a bunch of other students. And, just like in the other movie, what's better than one fight? Grab like 2 or 3 more guys and let's keep this fight going.
Yeah. And it was funny that guy asked him if he could fight 10 men at once, when in the last movie he fought exactly 10 men at once.
Yep.
Like it's a legend or something at this point.
Good catch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was interesting throughout this movie though, especially when we get to that later fight at the fish market, because we had done that episode with Ilram. I was like, I noticed what he had, something I've never noticed in movies. I noticed like, oh, he's right. There are people in the background just standing there, not attacking him.
Yeah.
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 And I'm assuming that, and maybe you can speak to this, Amy, like that seems to be like just kind of a common thing throughout this genre, whenever there's a big fight like this.
Yeah, that's super common. That started a long time ago, before Bruce Lee even, but it's it turned into something where people call themselves putties, like when they're in the background waiting to fight. Because if it's a one person versus, because the putties from Power Ranger, they just move around and you have to like keep the frame busy. But if you're not moving in the background and you're standing like people were in this film, then it's like, what are they doing? Why are they waiting? And most of the time it's okay if the camera's moving like crazy or if you're just so in tune with the action, but it bothers me so badly But it's hard. Like you have one person versus 50 people.
I know, it was insane.
And so like you have to really make sure those people in the background are moving, or it's choreographed so that it looks like they're not just standing there. But you kind of have to also just like be like, whatever, it's a movie. It's fun.
Right.
Yeah.
But what would you, if you had the opportunity to like, choreograph a scene like this, is there anything that like quick tips that you'd be like, I would actually do this and this to fix that? Or is that not really?
I would probably like, I mean, I don't know if I'd be perfect at it, but definitely I would add more movement with the characters. So like as Donnie and the character, as his other student or whatever, as they were running away and doing things, I would allow that to make those people have more distance so that it looks like they're always traveling. Like I would take those moments and really exaggerate the distance between them, maybe add like a bunch of chairs between them, add things that in the background you see them climbing over. I would also add in the choreography, Donnie Yen throwing more things at large crowds, one person hitting another person, tumbling, like making more interesting lines and shapes with the crowd in the background, and just like really doing anything I can to avoid that. But I also don't think that they care. Like I don't think that it mattered to them so much. But I definitely would have done all those things, kept the distance, tried to make more different shapes with the members in the background, as well as told them to keep moving or maybe not be in my shot, or just play with the camera a little differently and maybe do more down shots, up shots. I would avoid it at all costs.
Yeah. It is like in that scene when he like throws some of the, I don't know, they're like fishnet things like on several people.
Like
it's
that.
like, it's like cool. Like you are bringing them into the scene. Like you are causing things to change, maybe do it a couple more times.
Constantly. And then also a lot of times what I really enjoy is like a back and forth with fight scenes. So like he'll hit one person in the face, kick another person, like kind of go back and forth as opposed to like 4 moves on one person. Like I like to see a lot of like bouncing back and forth because that makes it look more real. Like if Donnie were to punch, duck, kick, and this was all with different people, it would also like make you not care about the people in the background as much because they look like they're shifting and moving.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a lot of good insight. Though my only complaint is, I do need the Donnie Yen machine gun punching as much as possible. Oh, personally.
Of course.
Plenty of that.
But those are those special moments, and it's totally okay to have those moments. We need those moments.
Yeah.
That's the magic. That's the magic.
Machine gun punching. Yep. I love that you call it that.
Yeah. Well, every time it's, a good action movie has like fist pumping moments for me, and every time he machine gun pumps, whether I do it or not, in my head I'm kind of screaming and I'm just like
yeah.
Machine gun pumps, I love that.
So if the more next movie you make, if you can throw in some machine gun punches, we would stand up in the theater and go, "That's Amy. She's machine gun punching."
It would be for you guys. It would just be for you guys.
Wow. What an honor.
Okay, so back in it. So the students come, he fights them all, and then they're like, they do the, hand over the fist, and they go, please, 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 please take us as your students. And I think Donnie Yen's acting right here is really fantastic, where he's trying not to be too excited, but you can tell he's like, oh my gosh, I finally got some students. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And
but he's still patient. He's still like, not all of them can pay their fees, and he's very patient with everyone and like probably too nice still.
Yes.
But I feel like his character just comes from such a big place of respect and understanding of other people, where sometimes it gets him into not great situations. But I do like, that's like really who his character is. And then like his star pupil is just a kid that's too impatient and will fight anyone for pride and honor. And that's what gets him captured and in the fish market.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when they're in the fish market, he comes down and, Donnie can just do it. I mean, with this, I love how he's like, I will speak to your master and we'll take care of this. And the guy's like, well, did you bring the ransom? And he just goes, I did not bring the ransom.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, here we go. I'm rolling up my sleeves and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And we kind of just discussed that fight.
I would say my favorite part of it is when he uses the swords.
Yeah, and he flips them.
Yeah, but when he has it on like the pallet and he's using it as a shield, but he's still able to fight.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah.
Well, because he like...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. I was reminded of the part where his pupil like jumps and kind of like rolls off of Donnie's back with that pallet. I was like, that's great. I want to see more of that. I love that. That's
Me
like
too.
Jackie-esque. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the guy, so he's holding the pallet and he kind of thrusts it at a guy who's also trying to stab him with those knives, and they get stuck, and then he flips it in the air and grabs it by the knives and starts using the pallet.
Really cool shot.
Which, come on.
Loved that.
And there's, I feel like this movie had a lot more wire work in it. It just felt like there was a lot more of those like flying kind of shots.
It definitely did. And I think some people didn't like that because the first one was very grounded and, not so floaty. But I personally love the floaty wire work here and there because it's just fun. I enjoy it. Like, I'm not against it. You like it?
Oh yeah, it just it just provides like a fantasy element, but it's just so subtle. I don't know if fantasy might not be the right word, but it's just
it adds like a fantasy.
So, it's like martial arts are so like they're so ancient, they're so old, and they're still like being used, and it's almost like harnessing the power.
Of like the ancient.
I love it.
Well,
yeah.
And again, reiteration, I haven't seen a lot of martial arts movies, but one of my favorites is Hero, which has like an insane element of fantasy in it.
Yes.
And that also has Donnie Yen in it at the beginning.
Yes.
That's a great movie.
That is a really good movie. And I am all about the floaty wire work. I just think it's so beautiful.
Me too. Yeah.
I'm assuming you have had the opportunity to do that in your films.
Yeah. We didn't do wire work on like my films where I led as an actress, the ones that you mentioned, but definitely with stunts, I've been on wires like crazy and with games. And they're like the funnest things to do.
They always look so fun.
So fun. Yeah. Like I think people would pay to like be in wires, and do some moves because it's just so fun. Like it's like a little theme park.
Yeah.
Little personal theme park in the air. Yeah. I love it. And I want to play more with like Eastern cinematic style of floaty wire work, but I haven't really been on a set to kind of play with that as much as I'd like, because it's more Americanized, quick, jerky, more realistic, grounded approach with wire work in the US. So I haven't been able to play with like flying on trees or anything yet.
Yeah, I feel like in action movie, like U.S. action movie history, you have like that point, the Bourne stuff, where like everybody's like, yeah, everything needs to be cut like crazy.
Yeah,
and then that's like, in Bourne it works, but in a lot of movies it just is like, this just looks like you don't have actors that are fit, and it's
so frustrating. Yeah. Like, it drives me crazy because. Yeah. It's like
touched on a nerve.
No. I just love being able to see two performers go at it. And that's something I love about like Hong Kong cinema is they a lot of times like train the actors, or the actors really know what they're doing. And so you can step back and have a nice wide angle with the environment and the feel and see the actual mechanics of what these people are doing, and then go in for the tight close-ups to see the emotions as well. But like you said, it's just hard to follow. And when it's so choppy and cutty, you don't know what's going on. It might just be like a black blur of all these choppy cuts to make it feel frantic. But like if you just spend, like 10 minutes with an actress or an actor to like make them feel confident in their movements and record that properly, it's so much better.
Yeah. Well, and my hope as a lover of movies is that with the John Wick franchise, that more people will be like, yeah, we can do like longer shots and we can spend time with our actors. And Mission Impossible, of course, one of our favorites.
Yes, so good.
Because those have like the shots and the, you know, of course, I mean, I don't know how you feel about Tom Cruise, but we love the man. And, you know, him just committing to these crazy, crazy stunts and doing them and stuff is crazy. But of course,
oh my gosh.
Since you're a stunt person, you might be like, hey, that's my job. Don't take that away from me.
No, I think he's fantastic. And I'm super jealous because it's I do more acting now, and so it's hard for me as an actor a lot of times for insurance purposes to do all of my stunts. Like they still need a stunt double there for me for insurance purposes, and it's like I just want to be like Tom Cruise, you know. I want to do all of this. But so I really look up to him and respect him, and he's awesome.
Didn't he have to produce Mission Impossible in order to do it?
Exactly.
So it's like, maybe at some point you get to produce something.
Yeah.
And it's like, you guys can't tell me no anymore.
That would be awesome.
That's literally exactly what it's going to take.
Yeah.
And I'm going for it.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll be there. We will go see it, whatever it is.
You guys are awesome. Whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever you
never know. It could be terrible.
Yeah, but I mean, we got to see it now.
Okay.
Now we know you. It's like if she's producing, we got to go.
Yeah. You guys are
awesome. So now let's talk about. So Sammo shows up and he's like, "You are basically an unauthorized martial artist, and you have to." My favorite scene of the movie. You have to have this fight with all of the other teachers, and you wait until the incense burns down.
And if you're still standing, you can be a master. You can teach martial arts.
Yeah. And they show the room, and there are upside down chairs everywhere and a very small round table. And you have to get up on it and fight. And already I'm like, come on. This is insane. What a great setup. Let this be the rest
of the movie if it has to be.
The rest of the next hour is just him fighting.
I might have enjoyed that as opposed to like the boxer thing. I would have been happy for it to stay there. But
I know.
I agree with you. Yeah, because I think the movie peaks right here. Unfortunately,
I think so too. Yeah.
But so they have this crazy fight, and they're utilizing like we just talked about the float. They're like kind of floating in the air, and there's that insane shot where Sammo and Donnie are fighting, and they're running around the table as it is like wobbling.
Yeah.
And they're fighting at the same time.
Unbelievable.
And they were doing your machine gun punching or whatever you call it.
Oh yeah, they were doing it for a while.
For like a good minute there.
Yeah.
And then finally the table breaks in half, and like they both shuffle it with their feet and land on it. Separate from each other, basically signifying they are equals.
Yeah, to draw.
Yep.
And love all that, but Donnie or Ip Man is like, no, that doesn't work for me. I don't want to pay these fees. Basically insinuating that these guys are kind of corrupt a little bit with this society because they're in league with the police. Is the impression I got, or like the British government?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have maybe explored a little bit clearer, or maybe I just missed it or something.
I don't know. If you were like Chinese watching it, you might understand a little bit better. Like, I don't really know if after World War II, like the British government or military was still kind of like had it as a territory in some ways. Wait, this takes place in Hong Kong?
Yeah, in the 50s.
I think it is a British territory.
Yes, I think it was.
It is. It is until like 1997. I just found that out. So
okay.
That is why.
So everyone, that would just be in the public conscious?
Yeah, I think.
I
think so.
Okay.
I'm assuming and especially if you live over there, I think you wouldn't really be questioning it. I'm assuming. But
so it'd probably be the same as like if you have a movie take place in the 70s and someone's like, yeah, they're off to war and it's not going well. As an American, you'd be like, yeah, Vietnam.
Got it.
You don't need to tell me.
Right. Okay. I think it's kind of the same thing.
That's probably a complaint I will now revoke because you helped me understand it.
I will say I really like, because, Ip Man, sees them as corrupt. They're like basically taking money away that's not theirs. But you also do with Sammo, like, understand that he's also in a tight space. Like, he doesn't want to be doing this either, but he's been sucking it up and just doing it because it is like the government or the military. Like this is something you just do. So I think you sympathize with him too. And then in the movie, when it comes time for them to like Ip Man and Samo to kind of like work together to beat the Boxer, like join forces kind of in terms of solidarity.
Yeah.
It's like, this makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I thought they did that pretty well.
I think so too.
Yeah. And then should we kind of there's a bunch of business with his students, and the lease gets canceled, and so things are looking grim for the Ip family.
Yeah.
But then there's like this boxing match that they keep talking about.
Yeah.
Now, I have been dying to ask you this question ever since we watched it. And I'm sure this is like a crazy debate, so I might be opening a can of worms. But does a boxer have like any chance at all against like a mixed martial artist?
I mean, if they're in a boxing match, yeah, the boxer will win. It's just like Floyd Mayweather or Conor McGregor versus Floyd. If you guys watch that fight, it's like boxer versus MMA. But if you're in a boxing match, the boxers are going to win. If you're in a real fight, the MMA person will take you to the ground and it'll probably be over. So like realistically, in a street fight, somebody who knows more than one discipline will most likely, if trained properly, win.
Cool. That's good. Because we were watching it and like having seen the first Ip Man and just knowing he's untouchable and all that. It's like, would this really have happened?
Yeah,
like in terms of him struggling or whatever. But of course, in his fight, they kind of like they won't let him do certain things. So,
right.
The whole boxer versus like Wing Chun Donnie Yen hero person, like it. Yeah. I didn't quite. It didn't work so much for me. It was an interesting choice they made, and I'm glad they tried to do something different. But like, the boxer has gloves on, and then Donnie Yen and Samo are just doing their regular stuff, and it doesn't really fit. Like the choreography doesn't go well together because the boxer's just being big and broody and standing there, and it's just not as like dynamic as we usually see from Samo and Donnie. So it wasn't my favorite, but it was still enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, it was still like fun. I don't know, like interesting. It
didn't have the heart of like the first movie.
Like this was the part of the movie where I'm like thinking of the first movie, and in the first movie, he's like literally fighting for China's honor, like against the Japanese. Like that is always going to be more impactful than him fighting a British guy for like basically pride.
Yeah.
Even though it's still fun and interesting, it's just like it's not the same. And I'm not even saying like, I don't even think they were trying to make it as epic. Maybe they were, I don't know. But
yeah, it also, I like when Samo gets killed in the boxing match, to me, I feel story-wise, like it was kind of just a waste. Like it felt like it was just a means to an end so that Donnie Yen would have to fight him. Yeah. It didn't really feel like it drove the story forward.
I agree.
And also, he was so cool that I was just personally upset that he died.
He was very cool.
Yeah, Sam was always super cool. Yeah, I agree. It was kind of like checking a box so that Donnie would, have to fight the big bad guy. But it's okay.
Yeah, it got him in there, so I guess sure.
Yeah, whatever gets Donnie to fight. Let's do it,
I kind of feel like, though, he could have just been beat within an inch of his life, and that would have been enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Sometimes, like in storytelling, they tell you, like, once a character has reached its usefulness, you kill them off.
But it still would have been useful because Samo wouldn't be able to have a rematch, and so Donnie would have to fight, and then they'd be able to be friends at the end and like join forces and have their schools like each other or something. Like it still could have worked.
Oh,
that's a movie I would have rather.
I liked that a lot more.
Thank you. Yeah, I would have. I would have too.
Because as far as I could tell, I did a little bit of research. I feel this movie is like not really any sense of historical accuracy.
Okay.
It's just kind of like he had schools around this time, so they're like, let's just go crazy with that.
It might not even have been difficult for him to get students. Like you didn't even see that.
I don't know about that, but I think the boxing match is like totally made up, and the Samo guy, I'm pretty sure he is made up as well.
Okay.
I'll do a little more research, so in a future episode I could outline, which I'm okay with. Again, I've said this on this podcast, I'm okay with biopics taking liberties, because when they play it too straight, it's really boring. So I'm not faulting the movie for that. But maybe make a more fun ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was still fun. It's still enjoyable, but definitely the first one was just so much better in my mind.
Yeah. Same.
And then it kind of ends with, so Donnie Yen defeats the boxer, and I do love when he starts hitting his biceps.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I could feel that a little bit when I was watching
I like that.
And then when it ends, he kind of does the like Rocky speech at the end of Rocky 4, where he's kind of like, communism is bad, but we can all vote. Come on. It's that similar thing where he's like, maybe one day we can all learn to love each other. And it was a little, I even saw when I was looking up stuff for the movie that other people did compare the ending to Rocky
really?
4.
Oh, wow. People like it.
It is like, in Rocky 4, Apollo Creed gets killed, and that's why he has to fight the big bad Russian.
The Russian guy beat him?
Yeah, he kills Apollo Creed, and then Rocky's like, I'm going to go beat him. So
what?
Story-wise, it's kind of, just that whole ending scene is a little like, okay. I mean, I've seen Rocky 4, so.
That's
interesting. I didn't put that together.
Yeah. But,
there you have it.
Excuse me. So,
go ahead.
no, what was your guys' favorite, like, from a non-martial artist standpoint, what was your favorite martial arts moment or fight scene throughout this film? Like, what was something that stood out to you?
Go ahead if you haven't.
Or most memorable.
I loved when the first guy jumped up to fight him on the table, and he did, I'm guessing, totally guessing, which is what you said, Jordan, a praying mantis style.
Just because it kind of looked like it, but
yeah, and it's kind of like these strange movements that I had not really seen before. So I was like, this is cool. And then of course, I think the peak is him and Sammo fighting, which is maybe tiger style.
I also said that because it looked like he was like a tiger, but I don't know.
And it was, I like when, I one of the things I really love about these movies is the showcasing of the different styles. Because even as a I really don't understand martial arts really at all. And I feel like they have it set up enough that you can actually see a lot of differences in the fighting, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's always really important for character growth and understanding. When you see that person, they need to be doing something different, and they would be trained in different styles. So I agree. I think they did that really well with this film. And I also love the table fighting scene with Sammo. I mean, that's definitely the best part for me. I wonder if they're like, okay, we can't end the film here, so let's do what Rocky 4 did.
I know.
And let's just
I felt like the part, because this is like middle of the movie, kind of. This is also my favorite part in terms of the action. Yeah. But I was like, there's like an hour left. Like, is he gonna lose? What is this movie about? Because I
thought he was gonna lose there too.
Because there was just so much movie left. So then when he didn't, it's like, so what is gonna happen next?
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. That's such a good point. Like, usually the structure of a film is like, you meet the hero or the character, and then something bad happens, and then they need to do something to finish it for the rest of the film. But this one was like, he had little issues throughout. He was building his school, and then the main issue began after more than half of the movie was already taken place.
Right, like the big battle, like the big thing that was going to happen. Yeah, and I feel like in the last movie it was a much more through line because World War II was happening. So being like knowing generally what World War II was and what happened, you can be like, okay, I can kind of see where the movie's going. Yeah, because of a major world event. This is like not a major world event. It's just a boxing match that happened to happen. Mm-hmm. Is kind of how it feels.
Yeah. So you guys like the first one better as well?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely like the first one more.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like the story is just better. I will say that I think some of the action is definitely cooler. Like, I enjoyed more in the first movie, him and the thug fighting for the first time in his home,
which we didn't mention. He's in this movie and they're friends this time.
Yeah,
and I loved that.
I like that story development.
Fun. Yeah,
that was cool.
Like that first fight in the first movie, it's like that was a little bit more enjoyable, especially because that guy's using a sword and he's just using a feather duster thing. Some of it's just also a little more comical and visually stunning in terms of what's used and what's affected around them. That's kind of how I would say it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the second one's good too. I didn't get like bored or anything.
Oh no, not even close.
No. It's hard to get bored because there's a fight scene every
I know.
every 10 minutes, he must fight now.
Right.
Well, and it's, there's it's just such a difference between which I've only seen clips from like Taken 3, which has like 1,000 cuts every second. And it's like, well, that's boring. Like, even though it looks like it's action, that's boring. And I'm assuming the story, at one point we'll cover that series, but I'm assuming the story kind of falls apart by 3. But this is like, even if the story sucks, these guys are just artists. And it's just amazing watching artists do their art at like the highest possible level.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made such a good point earlier that like the story doesn't even need to be good as long as the action is good. Because if the action is bad and the story is bad, then you're just failing on both parts. But the action is super fun. So very enjoyable movie.
Yes. And I think Donnie Yen, his acting is so good too because he always feels like he's being respectful of others. And like when he's talking to his star pupil about like I don't know if he's specifically talking about Wing Chun or about martial arts as a whole, but it's like you need to be neutral in all things because he's telling him like you're too emotional about it. And you see that in Donnie Yen's fighting. Like that he is just being like calm, cool, and collected.
He's the coolest cucumber ever. Like
yes, he is.
So I mean, yeah,
he doesn't even sweat.
Yeah, no,
you heard it here, folks. He is the coolest cucumber.
He is. All martial artists want to kind of like have that cool Donnie Yen moment where they're just standing and blocking something or doing the machine gun punch and just be epic and not even blink about it. Like just too cool.
Yeah.
See, I'm very excited because you said machine gun punch enough that I think it is in your brain.
Stuck. Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. And if I ever choreograph for it, I'm gonna tell everyone, okay, we're gonna machine gun punch here. And
yes.
Yeah.
This dream come true.
I'll give you credit though. I'll give you credit. Don't worry.
Yes. Yeah. So, what was your favorite fight though? Because we answered, and then we got to know what you thought. Yeah.
Oh, definitely Sammo. Because like those two are both epic martial arts stars, and anytime they fight is a huge moment. I don't know how many times they fought in different films, but I definitely remember a few. Like Killzone is a really good fight scene between them.
Cool.
Yeah, and they're always just amazing to watch together. It is very epic. But the whole creativity of being on the table and the camera work and of all the like drama that was going on with almost falling off the table and flying off and how they did the draw, like that was very creative and fun, and I definitely loved that fight scene. I'd love to recreate it, but I need wires, a table, and a bunch of people.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of stools.
Oh my gosh, so many stools.
Yeah.
Is Michelle Yeoh still around? Is that her name?
Yeah, that is her name. She is still around. I don't know what she's up to these days, but she definitely still works. And I think she was on a TV show a few years ago. I'd have to look it up, but she's around. She's still doing things.
Because what we need Amy Johnston versus Michelle Yeoh on the table.
Oh my gosh.
That's what we need.
Can we do that? Can we make a petition to do that? Just,
yeah. So that's Ip Man 2. Mm-hmm. Do we have any final thoughts on the movie, each of us?
People should watch it.
Yeah, all of these movies are on Netflix, so there's no reason to not watch it.
Yeah, definitely worth a watch, and I think is a good time now to watch fun, non-realistic films, just kind of like break ourselves out of the reality of what's going on right now here and there. So definitely worth a watch, and maybe make your own martial arts films after this. Maybe it'll inspire people to kind of like do their own thing and start machine gun punching each other. That sounds very violent.
We get it though.
But it's the respectful violence.
The respectful violence.
Yeah, let's go with that.
The beauty and the chaos. Yes.
So, could you hit, I know off mic you had said, I'm going to send you a list of martial arts movies, which I cannot wait to receive from you. But could you maybe hit like 5 must-watch movies for our audience that, like, if they enjoyed these, they gotta watch these other 5?
My goodness. Okay. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, for sure.
That's Ang Lee, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It is a beautiful film. One of my favorite films. Jackie Chan, I would do like Drunken Master. Some Bruce Lee films, maybe like Enter the Dragon. Maybe an Ong Bak film, maybe the first one. And then mix it up.
Yeah.
And
we
then
just learned about him.
Oh, you did? Oh my God, really?
Tony Jaa.
Well,
right?
Not just. It's been like probably a year, but we still have yet to watch that movie.
Yeah, we've just watched scenes on YouTube.
Yeah.
That crazy one shot where he's walking up the hotel room and like throwing people off the balcony.
Yeah, we considered doing it a series of his, but then we were kind of thinking of our audience, and it's like we want to do something that we know like people will watch right now.
Yeah.
And then like in the future, once it's more established and all that, like do that one.
Oh my gosh.
Because I really wanted to do that one.
He's amazing. You like if you enjoy people flipping off of elephants and doing like jumping crazy heights, like he's incredible. The things he does are amazing. And then gosh, how many have I said so far? 5,
like
4?
5.
Okay, maybe maybe do like a Shaw Brothers film. Have you guys seen any Shaw Brothers films?
No.
Okay. Maybe look at like what's a good one? Start with maybe look at all of them and see what looks interesting, or just watch a few like clips of things. Because this is kind of really where like Hong Kong cinema started, is with the Shaw Brothers. They started doing, they started getting a lot of actors from the Chinese opera. One that you should watch, I will put this on the list, is 5 Deadly Venoms, and that's a Shaw Brothers film. Okay.
Great.
So now I'm good with my 5. I can continue.
Love it.
The thing that I would recommend of what I've done, like my favorite thing that I've done, is called The Gate. It's just a short film that was supposed to be a feature film, but it was with one of the guys from the Raid films, and so we did. That's another you guys should watch. But I really enjoy that. That's on YouTube. You can just find The Gate, and then if you want to watch like a fun action film, Lady Bloodfight's on Netflix. Maybe those 2.
Cool. Well, we will definitely jump on all those,
and the listener should too.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on. This was a huge honor.
Yeah.
And we're just so thankful that you took the time to hang out with us.
Oh my gosh, I had a blast. You guys are wonderful to hang out with. So, and I have a new little choreographing word. Anyways, now I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Machine gun punching.
So. We had fun and we learned something today.
Yes, it's very educational. Yeah, no, it was a blast. Thank you guys for having me.
And if you have anything you'd like to plug away.
Plug away. I'll just plug my book that you guys mentioned earlier. It's called How to Stunt in Hollywood. So if you are interested, if anybody listening is interested in the action world of cinema, it's a good book, I think. I'm pretty proud of it. I basically got a lot of the top stunt professionals and professionals in the action industry, and I interviewed them and sat down and really did like a deep dive into what it takes and a little bit more about them and their mindset and how they're able to, do what they love for a living, make a career out of it. And I think it's inspiring for people who want to get into the industry or just want to know a little bit more about stunts. So it's on Amazon, and it's in all different forms and audiobook and everywhere that you can find those. So if you're interested in that, I think that'd be a good plug for me to give you.
Love it.
Awesome. We will definitely put your Instagram in our show description, and also that book. So listener, you can just scroll right down and you can click either one of those 2 things and hang out with Amy, know, in a way. Not like us. We actually got to hang out with Amy, and you should be jealous of that.
Wow.
Maybe I shouldn't treat the audience like that. That doesn't seem smart.
Don't be mean to our audience.
They're here supporting us. Yeah, this is stupid. I take back what I said. I love all of you.
Love you all.
Well, thank you for listening, everyone. Don't forget to go to patreon.com/MicahMcCaw. Get music, get podcasts, the whole extra stuff. You know the deal. And we'll see you next week when we cover Ip Man 3.
Bye.